Mr. Speaker.
Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it is an absolute pleasure to be able to stand up on behalf of New Zealand First and respond to, firstly, to a couple of things that we said. Firstly, I've got to say, Mr. Speaker, in response to the David Seymour's request to have the airport authorities publishing lost property sales amendment, I've made myself look silly, Nukarako bill. New Zealand First will not approve leave for that bill to be rushed through, and so removing the embarrassment for the government, simply because of two reasons, Mr. Speaker. One, this government, including David Seymour, who is part of the government, if they truly wanted to save the country some money, they would have made it a statutes amendment bill, put it through in an omnibus, and it would have been done and dusted, and it wouldn't have cluttered up the ballot box. So, point one, we object to the cluttering of the ballot box and with rubbish bills that the government could easily pass itself. Two, now that the government's decided it needed to go through the full democratic process, we applaud that and we'll support democracy being exercised and full scrutiny to that bill, Mr. Seymour. And if you want to save the government some money, if you want to save the taxpayers some money, given that, Mr. Seymour, you only lead a party of one, resign, walk out now. That'll save us a hell of a lot of money. And the House would be the better for it, Mr. Seymour. The second point, climate change. We too, Mr. Speaker, are enjoying the change in climate in New Zealand right now. And I've got to say right now, Rangiora, magnificent turnouts, Invercargill, magnificent turnouts, Dannevirke tomorrow, looking great, Clutha. I want to welcome to the New Zealand First Party, chairman of our new electorate committee down in Clutha Southland, Mr. Mark Pedersen. And we know Todd Barclay knows him very, very well, along with other members of the committee, Peter Charmaine and a whole bunch of others who have joined up. Thank you very much for joining, putting your faith in New Zealand First. Thank you for looking forward to changing the political climate in this country. And Mr. Speaker, this is the point. There is a mood for change now. People are saying in places like Clutha they want change, they want real change, they want meaningful change, and they want it now, Mr. Speaker. And one of the areas they want change, Mr. Speaker, is this nonsense that's going on over law and order between National and Labor. You know, I can actually think back to a number of policies that Labor implemented that National, when they sat on this side of the bench, opposed. One, when New Zealand First proposed that the age of criminal responsibility be lowered, the Labor Party made it clear they did not approve of that. National Party fluffed around and said, well, we agree with you, Ron, and we'll put the bill through to select committee to second reading. But in the end, they lost their bottle and they voted with Labor to vote against the lowering the age of criminal responsibility. But they did condemn Labor. They condemned Labor for year after year about their soft law and order policies. Now look who's ramming through legislation to raise the age of criminal responsibility. The new Labor National Government. And it's like we said last week, Pepsi and Coke. Red or blue, nothing new, can't tell the difference between the two. You know, some say it's like McLean's and Colgate. One's got a blue stripe, one's got a red stripe, but no one can actually tell the difference. They are the same. Look at what's happening with police numbers right now. Since 2008, the total number of incidents police has attended increased from 420,000 in 2008 to 525,000 in 2015. And of those incidents, the number of arrests has dropped from 72,000 to 69,000. What do we see in that, Mr. Speaker? We see something similar to what Labor touted. And National's policy would have hooked up with the Maori Party and came in with this decision to lower Maori crime. How did they do that? By not arresting Maori offenders. That is something straight out of Labor's closing the gaps policy. We'll close the gaps by improving Maori stats by not arresting Maori offenders. Well, Mr. Speaker, this nonsense is about to come to an end. And it doesn't matter. Labor can criticise National over its corrections policy, but they ran the goon squad. They brought in home detention, which was a disaster, and now National's making a bigger disaster of it with Serco and anklets that can be cut off with a pair of scissors. Mr. Speaker, they truly are the same. Pepsi and Coke, nobody can tell the difference. National Labor, red or blue, there is nothing new.
The time for this debate has expired. I call on government orders of the day numbers 1 to 5.
Canterbury Property Boundaries and Related Matters Bill, Committee Stage. Shop Trading Hours Amendment Bill, Committee Stage. Child Protection Child Sex Offender Register Bill, Committee Stage. Evidence Amendment Bill, Committee Stage. Electronic Monitoring of Offenders Legislation Bill, Committee Stage.
I declare the House in committee for consideration of the Canterbury Property Boundaries and Related Matters Bill, the Shop Trading Hours Amendment Bill, the Child Protection Child Sex Offender Register Bill, the Evidence Amendment Bill and the Electronic Monitoring of Offenders Legislation Bill. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker.